Everybody, Derek Rydall here, founder of the Law of Emergence and author of the best-selling books, Emergence and the Abundance Project. And I'm coming today with, I believe, could be one of the most urgent and important messages and thought experiments for you to begin to contemplate. And the title of this is A Flood is Coming, Build an Ark. And this is a download that came to me the other day. In meditation, the voice came through very strong, and it said, there is a flood coming, you need to build an ark. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I don't know how to build an ark. I barely know how to use a hammer. And it began to show me, which is in the zeitgeist right now in the conversation, with the advent and the unfoldment of AI at the level that it's unfolding now with ChatGPT and all this stuff. We know that there's going to be tremendous disruption. Now, there's many kinds of disruption that have been coming down the pike. We've known for a while with automation and robots and scaling and outsourcing and all these different things happening, that there was going to be great disruptions to people's careers and to the jobs. And we've talked a lot about how we've gone through periods in history where the Mustang horse was was going extinct, and there were headlines that said, it's the end of the world, because everything used horses. Everybody used horses. And then instead of the world ending, Ford Mustang came along. It wasn't the Mustang at first, but Ford came along, and eventually the Ford Mustang. In other words, we put horses under the hood and we evolved. And there we go through periods where there are these evolutionary inflection points where it looks like there's, I think it's the aphids, where they live on the bush, and they're eating and eating and eating, and at a certain point they run out of food to eat. And it would look like, oh my God, that's the end of our life, of our society, of our existence as aphids. But what happens is they sprout wings and they can fly. And of course, we know the story about the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, or the chicken and the egg. It runs out of food, it runs out of space, it's cramped, it smells, and it's hungry. And then it starts pecking, looking for every last little bit of food it can find. And as a result, it strengthens its neck and its lungs and its wings, and it cracks open the shell, and it emerges into a larger world. So we go through these inflection points. We do that in our own personal lives, and we do that in the world. And as we go through them, sometimes they last for longer periods. There's dark ages, and then there's a new renaissance. And we're in one right now as we've gone through the pandemic. And what I really say is an apocalypse, which means that what was hidden is being revealed. We've been going through a deep preparation for what will be a much bigger disruption. Now, it may not happen all at once, I don't think, but there could be big inflection points. But we are the frogs slowly boiling in the water of technological transformation. Now, there are other big disruptions I won't really talk about today in terms of climate change and political and all of that. But the solution to all of it is fundamentally the same, as you'll see here. But especially if you're a content creator, an artist, a coach, a healer, a thought leader, an author, an entrepreneur, an artist, a painter, whatever, whatever you are, you especially want to be listening. If you want to have a voice in the world, podcasts, YouTube, you really need to be listening right now. And in fact, before I forget, I don't think I put it below this video, I want to make sure you get a hold of a couple free trainings to prepare you and support you. So you want to go to DerekRydall.com, DerekRydall.com, go to the free training section and grab a free copy of the Thought Leader Blueprint or the Thought Leader Breakthrough or Self-Mastery Breakthrough. You'll see it under the free trainings, because mastering yourself, knowing what you're made of and what you're made for is going to be the most important value knowing what you're made of and made for, knowing what you came here for, knowing your true purpose, and having a degree of self-mastery, which means that you're not a reaction to the world. You're not merely influenced by the world, but you are becoming an influencer in the world. That you are not reacting to the world, but you are learning how to respond to the deep place within yourself. You begin to understand that I am the source of my abundance, of my opportunity, of my power, of my voice. And you learn to drink from the fountain of you. And so you want to grab the self-mastery breakthrough, you want to grab the thought leader blueprint or the thought leader breakthrough, or turn your life story into your legendary purpose. You'll see there's a few different free trainings there, and you'll understand. If you don't already understand, you'll know in a minute why those are going to be imperative. That kind of contemplation, that kind of education and inspiration. But basically what's happening, and some of you may already know this, but you may not understand the full implications. With AI and ChatGPT and all of that, what's beginning to happen is that whereas before we needed to, when we were, let's say, if you were a musician or musicians, many years ago, wanted to write a song and put it in the world, they had to have all this equipment, they had to, record it, they had to have instruments, they had to have a band, they had to then put it on a CD or a tape. I mean, it took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of resources. And then if you actually wanted anybody to really hear it, you had to get a record deal. So the record company was gatekeepers. And over the last, however many years it's been, 10, 20 years, you don't need any of that anymore. You have GarageBand or one of the other DAWs, that allow you to create music. You have Spotify and you upload your song. You don't need musicians. You don't need musical instruments. And that's why there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70,000 new songs uploaded to Spotify every day. Now, there used to be a time where if you wanted to be an author, you needed to toil away in a hotel room with a typewriter and a bottle of gin or whatever, and slave away on a stack of papers. And if you made a mistake, you had to throw it away. It was very laborsome, very time consuming, very difficult to write a book. And then along came word processing. And then even then, if you could just do it on your computer, you still had to have an agent, you had to have a publisher. There was a lot of gatekeepers. It was very difficult. Now, with the advent of self-publishing, and I don't know the right number exactly, but there's at least 1 million books being published every year. Whereas before, there was a tiny fraction of that. Now, with the advent of, you wanted to get your voice out there, let's say, well, you had to go to coffee houses or you had to go to, speaking events or some kind of, it was very, very difficult to be a person who is speaking and giving a message to the world. Jesus had to walk around in sandals and give sermons on the mount all over the place. Right? And then with the advent of YouTube and the advent of podcasts and social media, suddenly everybody can have a voice. Okay, so that's where we are now. Anybody with some skill can create a song and upload it to Spotify. Anybody with some skill to write a book and a desire can write a book, and most of them are bad, but you can do that. Well, now with AI, you don't even need, and eventually, again, we're not exactly there, but very soon, you won't even need to have musical ability to write a song and to make it sound great. You won't even know how to have any technical ability. You won't need to have technical ability to work on your system software, and design the beats and the pattern. You just tell it what kind of song you want, and it will write lyrics, it will write the music, it will give you a voice. If you want to use your voice, it will auto-tune it and make it sound like Kanye West or Taylor Swift Now, this is all in the pipeline. Okay, it's not there yet fully without some expertise, but it's in the pipeline. You want to write a book, you tell the AI what you want to write about, it'll outline it. If you know how to ask the right questions, it'll help you develop and write the book. And it's getting better and better and better every day. So instead of 60,000 songs uploaded to Spotify, there's going to be 600,000 songs uploaded to Spotify. Instead of 1 million books a year, there's going to be 10 million books a year. And this may sound crazy, but maybe even 100 million books a year. Think about that now. Instead of with the AI sound capacities and audio mimicking and the ability to create virtual, this happened with, I think, Eminem and Kanye West, some deep fake videos of them singing. It wasn't Kanye or Eminem, but the average person couldn't tell the difference. And that's with just audio, but also with video. So I don't know how many podcasts are out there. Maybe there's 1 million, maybe there's millions. But now with this technology, you'll be able to have it write a podcast for you. You'll be able to have it voice the podcast for you. You'll be able to have it take your voice and then go do the podcast without you. You'll be able to have it do your voice in all the languages so that your podcast could be heard with you speaking 10 different languages around the world. You'll be able to have it do video of you on YouTube when you're not even there. And so will other people. Now, just take a breath. If this is not blowing your mind yet, and this is stuff that we're hearing things about this, and it's coming faster than we think. If you're a programmer, you can just even now, tell it what you want it to make, and it will create the program for you. So now we're just in the infancy. AI is a baby, but it's a baby with a genius, right? With a genius that we can't even fully comprehend. So now as you combine all of these things together, the ability to program using just saying, hey, I want a program that helps me do this. The ability to create art. Hey, I want a Van Gogh meets Cezanne with this picture of my children. With the ability to go, hey, I want to create this podcast about blah, blah, blah. And then I can upload eventually video and audio of myself, scan myself, and it will create a podcast. It will create a YouTube. With all of that stuff coming together, this is not science fiction anymore, folks. In addition to that, you'll be able to create completely, not just hybrid songs, books, videos, audios, programs, but there will be pop artists that are just AI generated completely. There will be authors that are AI generated completely. There will be teachers and professors and coaches that are completely AI generated. There will be a whole medical industry of doctors that are just AI generated. There will be a whole industry of lawyers that are just AI generated. There will be a whole industry of teachers that are just AI generated. And you won't be able to tell the difference. There will be millions of podcasts. There will become new companies and eventually there will be movies that are all AI generated. There will be TV shows, all AI generated, written by AI. Now, that's going to be a little harder. Some of the truly artistic stuff is still going to require people. And I'll get to a moment where you come in and where you need to come in if you want to have a future. But there will be TV shows and movies. And so, it took 200, 300, 500 people to make a movie before. It'll take 5. Right? It took 100 people to program for that application. It'll take 2. And eventually maybe none. And there'll become new studios that are basically creating movies and TV shows and record albums and artists, and all in the cloud, all in AI. It's going to disrupt the studio system, the media system, the news. Forget news anchors, it'll be AI. Disrupt magazines, books, you name it. Everything is going to be disrupted. It's already happening. Medical, legal, all being disrupted. And that's gonna, well, even here's another fun thing to think about. It's going to become user generated, meaning you're going to be able to go, I really loved Friends, the TV show, and there was only 10 seasons or whatever. I don't know how many seasons there were. I would really like an 11th season. Hey, Bob, my AI, whatever the name is, I want you to create an 11th season of Friends. And it's going to, and create a whole new season using those characters. Or I want another movie around the Star Wars universe with Luke Skywalker. And then I want to star in it. I want to play the role of Luke Skywalker. It'll upload my augmented virtual self, my catalog and library of the large language model, and all it's more than just a large language model, this entire AI capture of me, which will now be my thing. It'll be on the blockchain. I'll have Derek Rydall uploaded, and it'll be constantly learning about me, right, as it goes. And then I'll be like, hey, I want to see what it feels like and looks like to star in Star Wars and play Luke Skywalker. And it'll and create Return of the Jedi, starring Derek Rydall, and it will literally be me in face and voice playing that part throughout the whole movie. And then I can even change the storyline. You think that's science fiction? Think again. And on and on and on this will go. Where it stops, nobody really knows. Sports, eventually there'll be AI teams. And then as we open up to the metaverse, you'll be able to go live to your favorite sporting event with a completely AI generated sports team, and you won't be able to tell the difference. Now, that may be further in the future, but here's what I want to get to. Massive disruption, a massive flood of content, media, post-fact, post-truth world. Now, I've been writing about this secretly for the last 2 years, and I didn't even realize what I was writing about. I've literally been writing books, like a couple novels and nonfiction works, and everything that I was writing about is now being talked about across the airwaves. That's why I felt like I have to talk about this, because I've literally been writing a story and stories about what's happening right now, but I started writing it 2 years ago. And this happened with the pandemic too. I was writing a year before the pandemic, and I'm writing about a pandemic, and then the pandemic happens and all this stuff. And I haven't released any of these books yet. And I'm like, I need to talk about this because there's something that's coming through and that's downloading. And especially for you people who know you want to make a difference, you want to make an impact, you want to have a voice, you want to be an artist, a teacher, a thought leader, a coach, a speaker, whatever. And I really want you to understand that in the next few years, and it could be less than that, there's going to be a magnitude, orders of magnitude of content and disruption and a flood of information and entertainment and media and thought leaders and real and hybrid and AI, that it's going to be so difficult to find the signal in the noise. And it's going to be so difficult to be the signal in the noise, to be a homing beacon. But more than ever, we're going to need the lighthouse, because we're going to be at sea in the dark, having a very difficult time finding our North Star. Because not only is it going to disrupt all of these industries, but it's also going to create a greater crisis of meaning and purpose, a greater crisis economically, which is going to create a greater crisis mentally and emotionally. We're already in a crisis of meaning and a crisis of purpose right now, mostly with young men. We're in a crisis of image with young women. We're in a crisis of polarization in a post-fact, post-truth world, politically and socially, and how algorithms are creating echo chambers. It's going to have orders of magnitude more of that. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope you can see that this adds up. And what does that mean? It means crises, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, a crisis of meaning, a crisis of purpose, a crisis of wealth and economics. And that's not even counting all the other things in the world, wars and climate changes, and a crisis of a deluge of information and media and images and content. And we will just be swimming through these turbulent seas going, what in the world is happening? What is it? What is all this stuff? Who's real? What's true? Where do I fit? Where do I belong? How can I get my voice to rise above the cacophony of noise? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? But it's not happened yet. It is already a little difficult. But I want you to understand, if you ever want to be an author, a teacher, a speaker, a healer, an artist, a musician, any of these things, if you ever want to really live your purpose and make a difference and make an impact and have a voice and have your voice rise above the din and have your signal be a signal beyond the noise and have your life and your light be a lighthouse in the storm, you must get a sense of urgency right now. You must stop procrastinating. You must stop making excuses for why you can't invest everything you've got in developing the life you are meant to live. Yeah, I'm feeling the passion. You can feel that, right? You've got a couple years, folks. A couple years, maybe 3. It's time to start putting together your 1,000-day plan. And I don't care what your excuse is. If you're living in your car, now is the time to determine to take and invest all of your time, talent, and treasure in building your arc, in building your platform, in building your brand, in discovering your voice, in uncovering your purpose and your mission, and embodying and becoming the change you want to see in the world now. You don't know what you're here for? Now is the time, as it says in Proverbs, where there is no vision, the people perish. If you don't know where you're going, every road will get you lost. There is no more time to take your time. All you people, oh, I just want to go with the flow. There's no more time to go with the flow, folks. This is the flow. Look out there beyond the beach. There's a tsunami cresting, and you can be smashed by it. Your town can be flooded by it, or you can catch it and you can surf it to a whole new world that's emerging. You can't stop it. Industries will be annihilated. Career paths, life paths, totally and completely erased. Things will get turned upside down, but they're always, that's history, baby. That's evolution. But if you resonate with what I'm saying and you can feel the urgency of emergence here, don't wait for it to become an emergency. It's already becoming an emergency in many areas. But now is your time to get serious about knowing who and what you really are and why you're alive. What are you made of? What are you made for? Know yourself. Be true to yourself. Build yourself. Master yourself. Develop your craft. Create your offering, your platform, your whatever, and start doing it. Sharing it, spreading the message, building a community, building a brand, building a following, building a reach. Being true to yourself so that when it gets noisy, and the floods come, you've built your own radio tower and it's still broadcasting above the waters. You feel me? Can you feel the urgency here? I'm telling you, 2 or 3 years, and it's going to go like that. Think about it. What happened to the last few years of our lives with the pandemic? Where did that go? It's going to happen in the next few years. And so if you want to have a future that isn't many times more difficult to create and sustain, you need to start digging a deeper well today. You need to commit to know yourself, to be true to yourself, to build a platform to launch your life's work and to live your life fully and completely, to know and name and claim your voice and your purpose, and to start really considering, how can I leverage this coming world? How can I make a difference in this coming world? How can I set myself up for long-term security and success? And how can I become the change the world needs and will need even more? Because you are still needed. And all this stuff unfolding is not happening against you. It's evolution. But in evolution, not everything survives. Okay? Unless you evolve with it. And this is your call to evolve. The call is coming. Don't let it go to voicemail, people, where it's going to get the message mailbox full, right? Answer the call. Go check out my website, DerekRydall.com, under the free trainings, grab some free trainings. I'm going to be doing a lot more about this coming up. I'm going to do a whole weekend, live your life's work. I'm going to help you dive in and develop understand that your life, the workshop you've been living, is the one you're meant to be giving. Understand what you're really made of and made for. Understand how all of life has been and is conspiring for your good, conspiring to set you free and to make you an instrument of great destiny. And also understand how to heal and become so resilient during this meaning crisis. How to get so anchored in your internal North Star so that when the storm is brewing outside and you can't see the stars, you are guided by the inner light. You are living by insight, not eyesight. Or in pilot training, you're learning how to fly by the instrument panel because you can't see out the windshield. You want that. If you want to learn how to fly by your inner instrument panel, if you want to learn to live by insight and not just eyesight, if you want to be anchored in the real source of your power and your wealth and your voice and your opportunity, and so that no matter what goes on in the world, you have everything you need and you know what to do, how to do it, where to go to succeed. As the flood waters rise, you have an arc. You float, you surf, and you have everything and everyone you need aboard that ark to build your new life in this new emerging world. And if you really think that I'm being hyperbolistic, having hyperbole or exaggerating, please, please, please know that probably I'm way underplaying it. And I am not a catastrophist. And this doesn't have to be a catastrophe. It's going to be a catastrophe, just like always throughout history. Those that do not adapt die. That's just evolution. It's not personal. I didn't make that up. But those that are willing to heed the emerging impulse, the evolutionary impulse, and stop making excuses. I don't have time. It's too late. It's too soon. I'm not enough. What if they don't like me? What if I'm afraid I'm going to lose money? I can't afford it. All of that is the ego trying to prevent you from changing and evolving, and it thinks it's protecting you. But that very thing that protected us and allowed us to evolve as humans is the very thing that will lead to our extinction. You must override that voice. You must listen and hear the yes within you and say yes to your yes, and have the courage to go all in on your destiny, to go all in with your time, talent, and treasure on what you were really born for. Not every acorn in the forest is guaranteed to become an oak tree. Some of them will become squirrel food. But the acorns that surrender to the soil and yield to the mighty oak within them, they become massive oak trees that produce harvests of acorns and fields of oak forever. Are you going to be squirrel food, or are you going to become a mighty oak? Are you going to become a caterpillar, just trying to have a good caterpillar life until it becomes worms for birds? Or are you going to become a butterfly and spread your wings and ascend to new heights? That's available to you, but it won't just happen. It will happen just. It will happen by law, by principle, by you understanding that you must collaborate, co-labor with this evolutionary impulse. Life or God is not going to do it for you. Like the old story, I'll finish here in a minute, where the town is flooding, and the guy comes to the door, Bob, you got to leave, man. Come on, get in my truck, get in my boat. The town's flooding. Don't worry, I trust in God. God will protect me. And the waters rise, and Bob, another boat comes along. He's like, Bob, get in the boat, man. The town's flooding. It's going to go over your house. And don't worry, God will protect me. I have faith. And then Bob's on the roof and the water's rising up to the top of the roof, and helicopter comes along and drops down a ladder. Bob, get in grab the ladder. The town's flooding. And he's like, don't worry, God will protect me. I have faith. And then Bob drowns and dies. And he's up in heaven, and he's talking to St. Peter at the gates. He's like, what? Or talking to God. And he's like, I don't understand it. I believed, I had faith. How could you let me drown? And God is like, I sent you a pickup truck, a couple boats, a helicopter. What more do you want from me? So the boats are coming. The helicopter's coming. I'm here saying, grab the rope. The town is flooding. Will you grab the rope, or will you say, I'm good, I'm fine, it's going to be fine. I'll get around to it when I have time and money and whatever. Now is the time. Now. It's going to go by like that. So go to DerekRydall.com, DerekRydall.com. Go to the free training section, download those free trainings, get to work. Share this with everybody you know, because this applies to everybody. And let's build an ark together so we can preserve our lives, our way of life, and build the new world together where we are living our destiny and creating a world that works for the highest good of all. I love and appreciate you. Until next time, remember to live authentically, love unconditionally, and follow your destiny. Take care, everybody.